It's just like an RV?
Microphones here.
Huh?
With an actual second story?
Well, it's like a, but it's like where we have, there's a sink up there.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you for coming to the site plan meeting to review. We'll go around the table with introductions first, starting with Intermountain Gas.
Austin Stewart with Intermountain Gas, District Operations Coordinator.
At Fontana Power Solutions Engineer.
Rich Coffin, City Superintendent over Thorn and Seward.
Scott Murphy, Street and Sanitation Superintendent.
Chase Clark, building official and fire marshal.
Princeton Lee, Water Superintendent.
Misty Ryder. Me.
Wade Gardner, Facilities Manager. Travis Allen, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Graham Anderson, City Administrator.
Scott Stuffway, Mayor. We only have one applicant today. It's Andy Hasselbring and HLE, Luke Jolly with HLE. It's kind of in reference to the golf course property. You want to go ahead and give us a concept?
You want to do it?
Sure. You guys have probably seen this property in different concepts. We, I think, have it finally right. It includes 5 houses and a event center. We'll have to have 2 different zonings. One will be a low density for the homes, and one will be a commercial for the event center. And we're just here to get your input on the schematic from Harper and Levitt so that we can take it into planning and zoning and move forward.
So just as a side note, this went back and forth, whether the street was going to be public, private. Right now, I caught this morning that they didn't move the utilities back inside the right of way. They were in the easement that was sitting there. So they are going to be within the right of way, not off where they're kind of showing right now. Just an FYI.
What we'd, in conversations with people or emails, I can't remember exactly, but we are looking to have, I'm told that the cul-de-sac can't be further than 400 feet, but ours is 433 feet. So we're looking for a variance for that. And then for the design requirements, I believe was curb gutter and sidewalk. And where that subdivision doesn't have any, the subdivision that we tie into or that we're adjoining doesn't have any, we'd like to not have to have any in ours either. And I think I've talked with y'all about that too. So that's what you're looking at.
On the table, we'll start with Intermountain Gas.
The only thing I've got is, we've got gas right there close to the entrance. We would prefer, I don't know if I speak for you too, but if you're gonna do, obviously you're gonna have gas and power, get that in before the road can. And I'll give you my card when we're done. Ashley will be the one you'll talk to on the front end of things, and then I'll take care of it on the back end.
All right, thank you.
So that's all I really have.
Yeah, we've got power down there in the Morgan, right there. Should be a whole vault for the second one. Yeah, 3 years ago, if you're looking for 3 years or not.
I don't think so.
And we just have to go through the joint training process if you want rest of the gas in the same tranche. You guys are familiar with that.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
What's that?
Any questions?
I don't.
None.
Okay. Sewer is available at the end of Mulligan, the existing street. If I remember correctly, it's like 10.5 feet deep. You already said you're gonna redraw and put the sewer line within the city right away. There must be a 10-foot separation from culinary water services. We have them coming in together. Generally, we like seeing sewer on the edge of the lot with the lot line between the 2 sewers and water on the other end, the other side of the lot, the same way. That way we guarantee the separation. Sewer availability fee will be $7,000 per EDU, per equivalent dwelling unit. The event center will need to be evaluated once built. The EDUs will be based on fire occupancy load. Stormwater must be retained on site. Snow removal must remain on site. Storm infiltrators sized for the subdivision will be used.
So I don't understand what that is exactly, but isn't that something that comes with curb and gutter?
That is correct. That is the city standard.
So I guess, yeah, he's asking for, I believe, that waiver also until the time that they end up having to put curb gutter in.
Yeah.
How I was understanding it.
Typically what we do, I know I talked to you, Andy, about it, but what we typically do is like in old neighborhoods where it's just one lot being developed in a neighborhood that's already has houses from 50s or 60s, then we're not requiring them to put curb and gutter in until the city improves or starts to improve the neighborhood. Then they're required to pay their portion of the curb gutter and sidewalk. But because this is a whole different subdivision, it would be required to have curb gutter and sidewalk.
Okay. This is probably not gonna work then, the way we have it drawn up. So is it best to come back and do a different one? Have another meeting? Because we drew it up based off the conversation of not having to do it, so.
Well, per the city standard, the lots that you're gonna be developing and the commercial building and stuff, the infiltrators are required and the storm, that's all required for the city's ordinances.
And the sanitary sewer line has to be no more than 400 feet. So if that means have to put a manhole in the middle, get to your 430, don't put in another manhole. Any questions on storm or sewer? Scott?
Just the curb gutter and sidewalk is required and the roadways to be constructed to city standards. And we have sanitation has capacity to supply services to the residential properties and the commercial property. That's all I have.
Okay, so for fire, I can't comment too much on the event center until I get some plans for that, and then I can determine what codes are going to apply. But for kind of the development of the subdivision itself, you have 2 fire hydrants indicated, and we would actually prefer 1 hydrant that's just after the first parking lot entry. So, just on the other side of that. Because the way that we would approach this and fight the fire, that's going to be the ideal situation. And in that case, it saves you a hydrant.
They still have to have a hydrant on
At the end.
for maintenance.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to split.
I got you.
So instead of having 2 hydrants, they're 100 feet apart. They're putting one on.
Back to road and curb and gutter, if you guys don't mind. I sent an email out to Misty and Travis and then later forwarded it to Scott, and it references code 12-6-11, code 12-6-4, code 12-6-17. And in every one of these codes, it references this. The typical curb and gutter section shown on the typical roadway details may be required on so this is talking about curb and gutter and sidewalk. It says may be required on subdivisions that have a density greater than 1 home per acre. This subdivision does not have, so therefore it indicates to me that it is not required where our density is lower than 1 home per acre.
But where Rex is requiring a storm infiltrator, you have to have curb and gutter to direct the flow to the infiltrator.
Okay, I'll look into those codes as well.
Were you done, Chase?
Did you have any more questions for Scott? Okay, In regard to the parking lot and the event center, is that a
It's
pretty solid,
conceptual.
just conceptual? Okay, okay. So I won't go into too much detail on that specifically then, because it's subject to change. So just know that, once submitted for a building permit, we'll probably revisit that and go back over that. So everything else should be fine for fire.
Can water. Your hydrant spacing, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much perfect. 'Cause you're 500 feet from the existing hydrant by the clubhouse, then you got your spacing. That's what we see in a residential area. Andy, I know we've been through several different kind of designs. And we were, there was discussion on getting the water rights restored to that property, surface water for irrigation. Is that still what you're working towards? Just getting-
I've got an approval from Corbett Slough for the transfer and a memorandum of understanding for access to the water. Yeah.
Okay, because they'll need to utilize that surface water for irrigation on those.
Yeah.
On those properties. Other than that, extending it's a 6-inch line that's feeding Mulligan based on my records. Just have to extend it down with an 8-inch, and then I'm assuming 1-inch services for the houses.
Yep.
So, okay, that, I don't know what the fee just changed to. It's like 24.60 something. So that should be pretty easy for water. So,
It'll probably be maybe a 2-inch to the event center. But
2-inch to the, yeah. So, yeah, I think on the line size for what we're doing here, I think there's sufficient. We may want to just double check with a water model just to make sure, so we don't get into something and go, oh crap, because it'll be very hard to get additional water down there. So let's just double check that. So let me know what you need, Luke,
Okay.
and then we can get, make sure we have what we're right. So I think we're okay, but let's just double check.
Okay.
I don't have anything. I did want to just bring up wherever, it's not my deal, but wherever the curb gutter and sidewalk deal ends up, typically the city wouldn't require him to put sidewalk in until each house is built.
Yeah, the sidewalk doesn't have to be built until each house is built.
So, anyway, other than that.
Yeah, the curb and gutter goes in.
All right, just to clarify, sidewalks would go in.
As-
each house is built,
as
but
each
the
property
curb
is
and
developed.
gutters and infiltrators would be part of the improvements.
Yeah.
Of the street.
Yep.
Okay. For planning and zoning, we discussed a few things already, but for the group, I think commercial 2 would be the best zoning designation for your event center. That would keep you from being required to do a conditional use. We don't have that in our schedule for conditional uses anyway, so commercial 2 is the only one that allows it, that's in the schedule. Part of the MOU says that you have rezoned the residential area to a low density. It doesn't specify 1 or 2. I think me and Andy talked a little bit and we agreed on a LDR2, right, Andy?
Whatever you recommend.
The lots are big enough to provide accessory dwelling structures. If you wanted to go LDR2, it allows that in LDR2.
All right, let's do that.
I don't know where the golf balls will fly for land after that. So yeah, that's my recommendation, is C2 for the commercial, parcel 6, and LDR2 for the rest of them. On your plat they have drawn now, parcel 4, we're gonna have to have the frontage, 60-foot frontage right there. I don't see a curve table for that to show at least 60 foot right there.
Yeah, it's missing that in the curve table.
And it looks like it might be a little short too.
C3 is 115,
But C3 goes put around the.
Right. but it's, yeah,
And it shares it with
60, I don't remember what you said, 60 or 65 minimum.
60.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Scott, it's probably right at 60, but yeah, okay.
Okay. So we can do a combined application and charge you the greater if you want to put all the applications at the same time. So that would include your zone, your rezoning, variance for your 400-foot length for your turnaround. And, I noticed on the entrance off the Mulligan Drive, that's only 50-foot wide. You have to meet the city specs for the street, that's 60, correct, Scott?
Mhm.
And I don't have occupancy for your event center, but based off your square footage, you really need about 15 spaces. If you fall under an auditorium and seating like that, depending on how the use of that event center comes out, that might change. I think you have plenty of parking as it's drawn now, so that's not the issue, but I'd say at least maybe 15 or 20 parking spaces. Let's see here. This would be with the combination of zones that require it to be a planned unit development, and it's more than 4 lots, so that takes you out of a minor subdivision application. And takes you even out of the subdivision. And if you want a private lane, then that would be a planned unit development requiring an HOA. And under a PUD development, you'd have to be under single ownership to at least be completed the development agreement. I think that's all I have. Do you have any more comments, Graham or Mayor? Okay. Do you have any more questions for us?
Assuming we move on to a PUD with a private lane, what are the minimum requirements that would be allowed for the road? And would the infiltrators be required for that?
For sewer and storm, it just has to meet DEQ requirements. But everything from the property line for the entrance to the subdivision in would have to be maintained and owned by the HOA.
Correct. I'm not familiar with the DEQ's requirements.
It's just normal what we would have been doing.
So we
10-foot separation,
be able to
400 foot.
Slopes.
maintain the stormwater on each individual lot? instead of the infiltrators? Okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as road, potential
It'll just have to be according to fire.
25,
It'll probably be
The roads,
26.
they're not the city roads, so
Yeah, or over.
I mean, like, if you
25
look at
feet,
Harborside.
6 foot wide.
that little PUD development over there off of Lilac.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, their roads are narrow than a city road. You know what I mean, they don't have curb and gutter,
right.
but they do have you do have to maintain the stormwater some way.
Right.
Yeah, same thing with water. I mean, we won't maintain anything inside.
Yeah, so you'll have to have a
A main meter.
main meter,
Which I have some other ideas with that as we evolve. So
yeah.
I'll just swing by your office one day, Luke, or here.
Okay,
I don't know if I'll have time this week, but maybe Monday or Tuesday, swing by. I'll
okay,
give you a buzz.
Yep.
Just want to pick your brain on it for a
Okay.
second. So
So can you be more specific if I go that, Andy? Or
That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to dive into stormwater code and see what I can figure out there. Assuming that I mean, you know it. I know you know it, but in the past, I've been able to look through code and find stuff that is overlooked occasionally. And if that's the case, then we could go back to the no curb and gutter. Is that if I'm able to find?
I mean, the city's not going to maintain the roadway if it's not if it's not built to city standards.
It's just different than the conversation that we put this together based off of.
We talked, I didn't, the event center, I didn't know about that.
Okay. That's fine. That does happen. I do tend to be a little generic in general, so I apologize.
All right, if you don't have any more questions for us, we will provide the list of everybody that was at this meeting on your information where you applied for the site plan meeting and all our contact information as well and notes from this meeting as well. If there's not any more questions, very good.
I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for your time. Misty, you as well?
Type it as fast as I can.
See you, Luke.